All right, we're now ready to start our midweek press conference. We're joined by head coach Rod Barnes. We'll open up the questions.
Well, Coach, assess the past week.
Difficult, disappointing in a lot of ways. Going back and looking at the film, saw some good stuff. Saw some obviously things that we feel like we could fix. So disappointing again, but also encouraged in some ways.
What disappointed you?
We turned the ball over absolutely too much for the weekend, and then the disparity with getting to the free throw line was really those are the most tough areas. And then I thought in the last game, it's the first time with this team we've got behind and kind of unraveled. So those would probably be the three things that obviously two of them we can fix, just X's and O's, and the other one we just got to mature and do a better job.
What pleased you?
I thought, really in the first game, I thought we really competed. I thought for 35 minutes, 36 minutes. If you take away the turnovers and some free throws there, then you feel good. You feel like, hey, man, we played a good team on that floor, and I thought we really did well. And even down the stretch when the last 4 or 5 minutes, it was our turnovers, and obviously we fouled. So obviously it's ending score with no indication of how the game was played. Then I thought in the last game against UC San Diego, I thought we had some moments there that we really made some pushes to come back, but the old turnover kept rearing its head on us, and you can't do that. When you're trying to make a run, you're down 17, 18 points, you cut it to 12 or 13, and then, hey, if they earn it, if they make another play, then that's different. But then if you end up turning the basketball over to give them an opportunity in transition with numbers to either get a layup or get a three, then obviously you're not playing well enough to win on the road.
How, let's take the opponents out of the equation, even though it worked this way.
Yep.
You played a good game against Irvine, but that's a Thursday game. You prep all week. But the Saturday game's a quick turnaround. So is that second game always much more difficult regardless of who you're playing?
It is, especially when you got a team, comparison to both teams. You got some veteran players on their team, and then you got a lot of, new guys or starters for our team. And, you're always better the second time around, whether that's the second year or the second time you play them, because you're a little bit more aware of, their team. I'm talking about from a player standpoint. And, as a coach, we do a great job. Our guys work hard on scouting, but until you get out there and you see, hey, this guy got great range, until you knock a couple down, then you're like, oh, man. But then that's in the middle of the game, where the second game is a little bit easier. The second time you play them, I shouldn't say the second game, the second time you play them, it's easy to make the adjustments as far as the players, because really, on the second game, if you haven't played them before, you don't know them, you're doing a lot of stuff on the fly. You're trying to make the adjustment as you go. I thought that hurt us some, but we got to give them credit regardless. The shoot threes, the way they shot it, they shot the ball well, but we helped them by not executing the way we should have on the defensive end.
So would it be fair to say, offensively, you just got to get more production out of your point guard? CJ attacked the rim in the San Diego game. It seemed like there was some progress there, but whether it's Kadar or CJ, that they have to respect the point guard when it comes to scoring.
Yeah, and we got to do a better job. We're not getting the ball inside as much to help our wings, because if we get the ball inside, the ball gets behind the defense. And there's two ways you want to get them behind the defense, and that's one thing that you talked about. Either you want to pass it in there and get it behind the defense, and what I mean by behind the defense, I'm kind of in the paint, or you want to drive it in the paint. In the San Diego game, CJ was so much more aggressive, so he got a chance to really kind of open things up for us a little bit more, and then open it up for himself. He had 3 or 4 shots there at the basket that he missed, but at least he was aggressive there. But just to answer your question, yeah, you want those guys to be more on attack, getting in the paint, making plays for other people and making them for themselves. And we've been inconsistent with that. I think Corey and Jamel and, the McGee brothers have, gives us some targets to get the ball to, but then we've got to do a better job at the point guard as far as controlling and being more aggressive. And, we all know this, and we just had a meeting. That's how it's coming out of for this. Just talking with our point guards. We've got to be more aggressive. Either that play is made for me or made for another guy. But I can't just be on the perimeter and not be as aggressive as I need to be. Again, whether I'm going to shoot it or whether I'm going to penetrate it and get it to someone else.
And the other part was, and you addressed it lightly, is inside scoring. It just seems like it's almost absent.
Well, it's okay if we give them opportunities much. I mean, we're not getting the ball there enough to get them. When you got post guys and they're getting 2 shots and 4 shots, that's not a lot. And again, it's not necessarily the big guys all the time. It's if our guards get to the paint, it's a point. It's a play in the paint. Corey drives to the paint. What the thing is we're not getting putting enough pressure on the rim to get the ball to the paint. Whether that's through a pass to our big guys or whether that's through our guards getting there. And again, whether they make the play or make the pass, doesn't matter to us. We just want the points.
Yeah. It seems like, in watching the UC San Diego game, and I realize there are different teams and different levels of, experience and chemistry for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But like, for instance, their threes look like sometimes practice threes. They were just wide open. And it looks like every shot the runners seem to take is a contested three. And they sort of seem to be always in motion, and sometimes your offense is stagnant. And I'm just wondering how you address something like that, whether it's off-ball screens or something to get the guys away from the ball moving. So, because everything Jamel and Corey are doing, they're tough buckets.
Well, some of that has to do, again, just first of all, the offense is different than ours, so we don't want to be necessarily just comparing to their offense in a sense. But also, it's the execution of what we're trying to do. Again, if you really go back and look at it, a lot of times their guards were in the paint and the ball was kicked out.
Right.
And it's the same theory that I just spoke about of getting to the paint, and then you got reads to make plays. Well, if you don't ever get down to the paint, then that's it. And again, as we watch film, we didn't get behind their defense enough. They had made up their mind that they were going to make us shoot the ball outside, and then they had made up their mind if we penetrate or we tried to press it to the paint, which we could have. And when we did, we had success. And when we didn't, then again, that's when you kind of have the struggles of what we do. The game was played in their favor as far as the pace of the game, the way the game was played, because again, we didn't do what we needed to do. I thought we had those opportunities with Kadar at the paint. I thought we had CJ at the paint. They had made sure that they were going to, if Jamel or Corey got the ball, that they were going to double team. So when we reverse the ball, you can't reverse it and not be aggressive. You got to reverse the ball and be aggressive. And again, to our kids' credit of my belief, the next time we play them and they play that way, I think it's just will be better. Same thing with Jamel, not playing them before, and they played a different kind of defense. You got to kind of pick your spots. And I thought Corey did a good job of picking his spots on the baseline. And I thought it was 2 places that we really could have took advantage of them. And one of them was the baseline that CJ several times, attacked but then didn't shoot the basketball. But Corey attacked and scored the basketball. But also I thought the middle, which I thought we didn't pass the ball in the middle as much as we should and much as we need to. And again, you look at that and I think with our guys, and again, you can kind of show that a little bit on the film. But again, you talk about a quick turnaround and a different style of play. And we just didn't execute as well as we needed to execute to play against a good team at that particular time.
I know it varies from opponent to opponent, but you threw some zone at them, seemed to give them a little bit of trouble. Do you see this team playing some decent amount of zone defense. I know
Oh,
it's not
definitely.
a calling card.
Well, I mean, we got to do a little bit because the disparity again in free throws. You know, people are going to the line way more than we are, and we got to keep them off the line. Again, I think it's a combination of things. First of all, we're still coming together, cohesiveness as far as being in the right spot and being where you need to be. But also, I think it's having something to do with us being a little bit more aggressive. But then also we've got to understand, some of the fouls. I mean, to be honest with you, we fouled in the back court in the one-on-one situation. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's out of aggression. But then we got to be smart with how aggressive we be. Guy coming off the ball screen, you know what I'm saying? And we just a little bit behind. And it's things that we got as coaches got to continue to teach. The thing is, and I told our staff this, they're fixable. When we're not running out there and feeling like we're just being outmanned or whatever, again, we took too many chances, didn't take care of the basketball. If we take care of the basketball down the stretch against Irvine, I mean, who knows? And they're not those turnovers that the other team is forcing and we can't take care of the basketball. It's us trying to do a little bit too much, too careless, taking a chance, or even not being aggressive enough. So we can work through those things. The thing with the foul, and that's what you just mentioned, we may have to set back in a zone some, just to buy some time to not allow them to be on the free throw line and, not allow them to be in the bonus, because, again, how many points they're scoring on us. And we got to do a better job defensively, with our team, teaching and walling up instead of trying to block shots, just get our hands up, some things that we need to continue to work on. And our team need to be able to take it from what we're doing in practice to the court, but also just from different strategies. I had a kid the other day, had hit a couple threes. We went boxing one, kind of showed him a little bit, kind of slowed him down, took him out of the game. And, they had another guy to pop up, play a little 2-3 zone. I think, to answer your question, yeah. I mean, and we'll see how much of that we're able to do. But then again, this is a great week. It gives us to work on a lot of different things that we need to work on. And, I was in the win column. I would love to be much better than what we are. But I don't think our team that far from behind as far as we can't correct some things to be prepared as we move forward.
So where do you think your team is at this juncture of the season in terms of chemistry and maybe even rotations? Do you feel good about, or are you still?
I'm feeling better about our rotation. I got a good feel. And what I mean by rotation, we'll have some offensive rotations and some defensive rotation. So, and that'll kind of depend on the game. So I'm not saying at the 16-minute mark, this guy's automatically going in. But if we need a defensive forward or offensive guard, I do have a good feel for whatever it is. So as far as that part, feel pretty confident with our rotation. I feel like our chemistry needs to get better. I don't think it's bad, but I think it's got to get better. You mentioned a couple of things, like sometimes when Jamil starts or Corey starts to make a play, we got to give him space. We got to give him room. Right now we're a little too congested and causing them to have, opportunity to score, but then it's too congested to do that, so we got to work on that. I think, chemistry or not, I think we got to trust each other a little bit more. And that's just, first of all, coaching to say, hey, man, we got to pass the ball inside, or we got to pass the ball up the floor, and, or give the guy some space. He's fixing to go one-on-one, give him some space. And I think some of that comes from teaching, but also I think that's some of that comes in, and just for our team to see how they handle the weekend. I think there's no giving up or questioning about could we have a good team, but also I think, they feel some urgency. And I spoke about this sometime this time last year. I can remember why I kept saying I think this team need to have some urgency about themselves. I think this team does at this particular point.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on your big men in terms of that as a whole? I mean, Cam Clark played more than he usually does, and
Yep.
actually had some pretty good moments.
Yep.
We always think of Fidelis as a big man, but he's just muscular. He's 6'6", right? Or something like
Right,
6'7",
right,
you know?
yeah.
He's not, he's playing against guys that are usually taller than him.
Right.
And then, of course, then you've got Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just so, your body of work in terms of what you'd like to see out of your big men.
Well, I think we got to do better. I mean, obviously, again, I thought, Fidelis has had some good games, and he's a solid defender. I think Shaq done shown glimpses here or there, but hasn't shown consistency. Cam Clark is a guy that's probably, and I mentioned this earlier, is probably in between guy. Probably can give us a little defense, probably give us a little offense. I think because we've played the other guys more on the floor, he's a little bit behind. But I inserted him the other night, and as we go forward, you're trying to build where you could put yourself in the very best position to win. And again, I think we have the options there. I think we just got to get a little bit more of confidence for all three of the guys, but mostly Shaq and Cam, and putting them in the right position. And I think, we talked about what you said. I think Shaq went in against Irvine and made a few good plays. Obviously, he's more of an offensive guy right now than he is a defensive guy. I think he did a little bit of the same thing against San Diego to, counter Fidelis, where we think Cam can be a little bit of both. I thought it was an opportunity for him to play in a game that I thought would fit his style. They were a little bit more perimeter, had guys that could step out. So it gave him an opportunity, and I think he took advantage of the playing time he had. And again, I don't want to make excuses. Like, we needed this week. Like, we got to really hone in some things. And as I told our coaches, I think we've been on the road 5 or 6 games, and to come back and all of our guys are back in the gym. All of our guys are working, but then we're watching film. This team is going to grow. So, we got a couple of weeks before what normally be the start of conference play, and I think we'll be much better than what we are now. I like the way this team works. Again, we've got some things that we got to fix. Just bottom line, we can't turn the ball over. Got to play a little bit smoother offensively. And defensively, we can't foul as much. And I think we'll see better results than what we've had to this point.
What's the challenge for you as a coach this Sunday against a lower level opponent to get the best out of your guys? What's that challenge?
It's this week. We got to work on us. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously we'll do a scouting report as we always do, but this week is about us. It's about us getting better. We're going to have hard practices. We're going to have very intentional practices because we don't have a game. And again, when you have a team, I don't want to make excuses. We play, we go on the road to play 3 games in Florida. We're there like 5.5 days, 6 days. We come back 2 days, then we head to southern Utah. And then we come back, you know what I'm saying? Like our clock as far as that. Now we've got to prepare when we get back from southern Utah for 2 conference teams. And now we get a chance to focus on us. And I want to say bad scheduling on my part. Yeah, we might be able to say that, but I know my team better. And I feel better about this team, which I already felt better about them, but I know a little bit more. I know when I feel like Cam needs to get in the game now, or Shaq needs to be in the game. And now we just got to, work this week on putting it together. And some of those assignments we missed was just breakdowns. Some of the guys didn't know just because it's a different kind. As you said, they were moving, screening, kind of team that was different from North Dakota State, but kind of similar.
So, if I'm correct, Nick, is it on, you got La Sierra, then the Portland and Portland State, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the correct order, but then it's back to conference, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just sort of wondering, because I hear you on the sideline sometime when you're coaching them, that you guys have at times against UC San Diego some great ball movement, but then the guy just passes up a wide open shot and gives it to someone else. And I heard you say to one guy, why aren't you taking that shot?
Yep.
How do you coach aggressiveness? How do you get people who are not being maybe it's not because they're not aggressive, but maybe they just don't want to get benched if they take a shot and miss, or
Yeah.
they're
Well,
not confident yet, or whatever the case may be.
Well,
How do you coach
I
through
think
this?
I think again. I think if you look at our Irvine game and watch CJ in that game, and then you turn around and watch him in San Diego, that was a lot of work that was being done, film being shown, encouraging him. You know, this is what you got to do. What I'm thankful for is that I think those guys that are new, they not taking the approach maybe some of the guys that I've had in the past. What I mean by that, we talked about CJ being aggressive, and he was very aggressive. We talked about, you know, Marvin the fourth taking his open shots, and he took them pretty quick. It was kind of like in the middle of some things that we kind of got, again, we got jammed up because we didn't have good spacing. And so with Corey and Jamel has had some free looks and some things like that. They didn't get that the other night. And some of that was because, again, you got a team that's kind of dependent on these two guys that average like 16, 17 points, and kind of giving them some patience to do that. And then all of a sudden, here we are. They're kind of not getting those shots. Some other people just got to be aggressive in there.
Can we get the leaf blower guy to come inside?
Sabas has something to say. We can ask him a couple questions.
But just to say something on that, we got to, you know.
There you go. Now he's done.
Well, at least he heard us.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get our guys to do, to hear me, okay?
So, you know, your team last year finished really strong.
Yep.
And, you know, not to compare this year's team to last year's team, but where do you think last year's team was compared to this year's team at this juncture?
I thought this year's team is mindset is in a different place. I think this year's team has a belief, and I thought last year we were kind of searching, wondering, you know, could we? And again, as bad as last weekend was, there was some good to take from that too. Because it's easy to now to say, hey, listen, for 35 minutes we played this team and we didn't play like lights out. And we played the best team who hasn't lost a game this year. And last year at this point, we still were trying to figure out where we were. I think the next thing is I think the pieces, I'm more at this particular point, more settled in with the guys than what I was last year. I thought last year I still was trying to figure out some things at this particular point. And I think I told you a couple of weeks, you know, we want to come out of the tournament, you know, and go into conference play and feel like we're in a good position. At least we'll know something from the Florida tournament. We found out some things. But then being on the road these last 3 games, I found out some more. And I think just through watch, again, you know, hopefully the results definitely be different. But last year we didn't have everybody in the gym as soon as we lost. Like we didn't have, those guys were in here. We had an off day there yesterday, and almost every single guy came in here and worked. Every single guy worked this morning after weights. That wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? So I guess the hunger and the desire to win and the belief in themselves that they're going to be good, it's just a different feel, you know, from where we were. I think we had a few more guys at that particular point last year that maybe knew a little bit more about what we were doing, but just the feel from the attitude toward this particular season is different than it was last season at the same time.
Yeah. Finally, for me, when you got on that bus in San Diego on the way back, or maybe when you got off when you got here, or maybe the first practice after it, what have you seen in these guys? Are they disappointed? Are they angry? Are they hungry? Are they determined? What did you see in their eyes when success doesn't happen, but you see some characteristic come out of guys who are competitors? What did you see?
I think it was all of the above, really. Probably what once we got back, because again, we had targeted things that we saw that was evident why we lost the game. Now, again, the last 2 days and today is about, working on those things that they don't happen again. I saw some guys really determined. There was no, and that's why I said it was a little bit different than last year. There was no like, well, can we do it? Or, we need some kind of validation to get the job done. It was more like, man, we got to get back in the gym and work. We're not playing our best basketball. It was more of, man, Irvine is the best team. They didn't take a whole lot. Wasn't a whole lot said to me around the UC San Diego game, but like, man, we didn't show up to do what we needed to do. We didn't execute the way we needed to execute. But again, I think for a lot of our guys, and again, we got some new guys that are playing huge roles. For them to say, okay, this is the league, and this is the top guys or top teams right now in the league, I think they thought, hey, man, we could fix these things and we could be good. So there hasn't been a negative down. There's been again, some seriousness. There's been some real conversations. I don't want to say that. There's some guys mad. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's not an anger at each other or faulting each other. It's like, crap, man, we gave game up. Or, man, how did we get embarrassed? Because everybody thought we were embarrassed at UC San Diego. Bottom line, coaches, players, whoever was involved, embarrassed. Not embarrassed because they beat us. It's the way it happened. And, we didn't look like we really need to look to play against a team like that. And, we could talk about all the other stuff, but, like, we're more competitive. We're a better basketball team than we shown, so I think everybody was, like, disappointed. Different kind of disappointment at Irvine game. We were disappointed because we felt like we made some mistakes and we had an opportunity there and we had played well enough. And the last 4 minutes just, didn't play well, didn't do the things you need to do. So, again, I don't sense any. I sense some guys that are competitors, like we got to compete. But I haven't sensed any body like questioning, how good we could be, or guys not getting along, guys, what I'm saying? It's none of that I'm detecting it or hearing, because again, we're meeting on top of meetings from several different things. Just how we approach things, as we talked about with CJ, to talking about strategy that we're talking about with Jamel and Corey, you know what I'm saying? So, and then there hasn't been any, it's been more of a encouraging, very let's get this right kind of attitude than it is being negative and, oh man, here we go, man, we're not very good kind of sense from our guys. Yeah.
Well, one more popped in my mind.
Sure.
I gotta ask it. Sorry it's so long, guys.
No.
What about just the mere concept, because you talked about, especially the Irvine game, about just creating contact to get on the line yourself, because you guys don't get on the line a ton.
Yeah.
And, I watch CJ Hardy play and I go, that guy's a blur.
Mm-hmm.
He could get by people and make somebody reach in and foul him. So
Right.
I'm just sort of wondering about just that concept of guys we need to
Right.
create.
Well, I think the combination of things, and again, what I mean by a combination of things is when I think as a player, when you've seen two guys like Jamel and you've seen Corey, and then you've even seen Marv have some really good games, unless you know what you've been told, but until you experience the situation where you say, hey man, it's my turn to step up. As a new guy, sometimes that's hard to just take that role. To just say, hey man, listen, hey, I mean, we have that same sometimes with Jamel right now. Times that he could score, that he like, well, I'll pass it up. And again, sometimes you have to go back and show them the film like we did with CJ to say, hey, listen, when you like this helps us. You don't have to defer. You're talented enough, you're fast enough, and when we say this is what we need, then this is what we need. Sometimes you have to see it. Like I think my film session with him this afternoon opened his eyes to some things that, first of all, spacing, then attacking. But we had that conversation after the Irvine game, And again, that's why I said this team, I think, as we go forward, is different. I've had guys that I've said that to, and it'll be 4 games later, 5 games later before they'll be aggressive. That's not the case. We had where we thought CJ was lacking aggressiveness against Irvine, and then again, I thought in the UC San Diego game, he was like he was against Fresno. You know what I'm saying? But then again, until you know, I need to be like this to help Jamil. I need to be like this to help Corey. And not that they're not still our leading scorers, but I need to do what I need to do and do my part. And again, that's where it all starts to come together. And I've told him, and our guys have told, they believe in him, you know. But again, until he finds, which I think he was more confident after we told him, like, listen, man, like, as you said, you're a blur. I think on the other hand is, I think we're still, whether it's Corey, you know, staking that up, I think some of our getting to the foul line, more ramming ourselves up into each other. Be honest with you, I think some of our guys don't believe we're going to get the call because we think there's times that's in the game that it should be a call foul on the other team, that if we were getting the same call in a sense. So we've got to get over that in the sense of, hey, man, it is what it is. You know, be aggressive, and that's what I've told them regardless. You know, and the other thing is, you know, and we talk about it, like, again, our defense turns into offense. And we haven't defended like we could defend to get us in transition the way we would like to be in transition. And again, that's part of what we got to fix. If you turn that ball over every time and they're going to the free throw line, the other times that you don't turn it over, it's hard to really get the kind of action that this team needs to get, be as good as we could possibly be.
Good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. 310.
Oh, they probably ripped